distinguished delegates, friends, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to be with you here today. I was here almost 8 years ago to the day on the same occasion. A lot has happened since then, and the cooperation between FAO and KMI and Korea in general has increased enormously in this period, and we are extremely grateful for that. In my presentation today, I will provide a review of the recent trends and prospects in the fisheries and aquaculture sector. I will base the presentation mainly on the information conveyed through our flagship publication, SOFIA, in 2018. Since 1994, and for the past 24 years, SOFIA has been published every 2 years in 6 languages. SOFIA 2018 is the 13th edition in the biennial series, and it was released in July 2018 at the time of the FAO Committee on Fisheries. SOFIA, as a FAO flagship publication that serves as a global reference for all those working in or seeking information about the fisheries and aquaculture sectors, documents global trends and statistics, and sets future directions for work in fisheries and aquaculture. Various evaluations have been demonstrated the growing interest for SOFIA, including the statistics, with the publication web accessed over 1,500 times a day, every day of the year. The key figures in the present SOFIA is that global total capture fisheries production in 2016 was 90.9 million tons. 33.1% of fish stocks are estimated as overfished, fished at biologically unsustainable levels. Global total aquaculture production of aquatic animals in 2016 was 80 million tons. And fish consumption has increased from 9 kilograms per capita in 1961 to more than 20 kilograms per capita today. Fish trade was valued at US dollars 143 billion in 2016, and world fish supply reached a record high of 20.3 kilograms per capita in 2016. Women account for 14% of all people directly engaged in the primary sectors of fisheries and aquaculture. SOFIA 2018 highlights the critical importance of fisheries and aquaculture for the food, nutrition, and employment of millions of people, many of whom struggle to maintain reasonable livelihoods. SOFIA 2018 was framed in the context of the Sustainable Development Goals. Indeed, SDG 14, Life Below Water, has clear connections to the fisheries and aquaculture sectors. However, the sector is also highly relevant to 9 other SDGs. Thus, the focus of fisheries governance and development has been broadened to include not only the conservation of resources, biodiversity, and the environment, but also to recognize the economic and social role of the sector, supporting the well-being and livelihoods of millions of people and contributing to a multiplicity of interconnected global agendas, such as for food, security, nutrition, and trade. Our commitment to leaving no one behind is a call to focus action and cooperation on achieving the core ambitions of the 2030 Agenda for the benefit of all fish workers, their families, their communities, as well as society at large. Combating IUU is an important challenge for the sustainability of fisheries, one that has become a priority at the global level. In turn, it is one of the major calls for action under SDG 14, specifically to reduce subsidies which affect fisheries sustainability. There have been some important achievements in the fight against IUU fishing at the international level, which the department has been working to support at the global level. These include the entry into force of the FAO agreement on port state measures to prevent, deter, and eliminate illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing, PSMA, in June 2016. The development and adoption of international guidelines to promote the use of catch documentation schemes for better traceability of fish and fish products in the value chain, approved by countries in June 2017. The launch in April 2017 of the global record for fishing vessels, refrigerated transport vessels, and supply vessels. The Code of Conduct for Responsible Fisheries and its principles of responsible fisheries management has wide uptake in national policies. However, states do not always satisfactorily succeed in fulfilling their duties in line with such instruments, and illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing often occurs, undermining national, regional, and global efforts to manage fisheries sustainably. It is not enough for states to detect IUU fishing. They must strengthen fisheries laws and regulations and be able to take effective action against perpetrators to deter non-compliance. Given that many developing countries may not have the capacity to successfully implement their responsibilities under these international instruments, FAO developed a 5-year global capacity development program to support developing coastal countries and small island developing states in building up their capacity. The Republic of Korea has generously provided support to this program, amounting to approximately $3 million, which will support more than 5 countries, in particular Cuba, Fiji, Myanmar, Philippines, and St. Kitts and Nevis, in developing their capacity. If you look at the production, in 2016, total fisheries and aquaculture production reached an all-time high of 171 million tons, of which 88% was utilized for direct human consumption. This establishes a new all-time record in the volume of fish for human consumption of 151 million tons, a 6% growth since 2011. This is thanks to relatively stable capture fisheries production, reduced loss and waste, and aquaculture growth. Global capture fisheries production was 90.9 million tons in 2016, a small decrease in comparison to the 2 previous years, largely due to reductions in Peruvian anchoveta catches. The marine catch was 81.2 million tons in 2015 and 79.3 million tons in 2016. Global catch in inland waters was 11.6 million tons in 2016, an increase of 2% over the previous year and of 10.5% in comparison to the 2005-2014 average. In 2016, 16 countries, mostly in Asia, produced almost 80% of these catches. Global aquaculture production in 2016 was 80 million tons of food fish. If we take into considerations the 30.1 million tons of aquatic plants, the total farmed aquatic production reached 110.2 million tons. With 5.8% annual growth rate during the period 2001 to 2016, excluding aquatic plants, aquaculture continues to grow faster than any other major food-producing sector, but no longer enjoys the high annual growth rates experienced in the 1980s and 1990s. It must also be emphasized that the sector's importance is very unevenly distributed among the countries within the regions and across the world, which actually demonstrates its great future potential. The growth of farming of fed aquatic animal species has outpaced the farming of unfed species in world aquaculture, although they both continue to expand. Unfed aquaculture accounted in 2016 for 30% of total farmed food fish. Based on FAO's monitoring of assessed stocks up to 2015, the status of fish stocks exhibits worrying trends. The percentage of stocks fished at biologically unsustainable levels increased from 10% overfished in 1974 to 33.1% in 2015. In contrast, there are fewer stocks fished within biologically sustainable levels, from 90% in 1974 to 66.9% in 2015, down from 68.6% in 2013. Between 2013 and 2015, stocks maximally sustainably fished also increased from 58 to 59.9% at the expense of the rate of underfished stocks. The global picture masks disparate patterns between developed and developing countries. While developed countries are significantly improving the way that they manage their fisheries, the situation in the least developed countries appears to be worsening in terms of fleet overcapacity, production per unit of effort, and stock status. If we look at the analysis of fisheries resources by the 16 major FAO statistical areas, in 2015, the Mediterranean and Black Sea area, Area 37, had the highest percentage, 62.2% of unsustainable stocks, closely followed by the Southeast Pacific, 61.5%, and Southwest Atlantic, 58.8%. In contrast, the Eastern Central Pacific, the Northeast Pacific, the Northwest Pacific, Western Central Pacific, and Southwest Pacific areas had the lowest proportion, 13 to 17% of fish stocks at biologically unsustainable levels. In 2016, 151 million tons were utilized for direct human consumption, which is about 88% of the 171 million tons of total fish production. This share has increased significantly in recent decades, as it was 67% in the 1960s. Our analysis of the FAO food balance sheet up to 2015 indicates that Europe, Japan, and the United States of America together accounted for 47% of the world's total fish consumption in 1961, but only about 20% in 2015. In 2015, Asia consumed more than 2/3. In per capita terms, global fish consumption in 2015 reached an all-time record of 20.2 kilograms per capita per year. It was 9 kilograms in 1961, representing an average annual growth of 1.5%. Preliminary estimates point to 20.3 kilograms in 2016 and 20.5 kilograms in 2017, which confirms this trend is continuing. Since 1961, the annual growth rate of global apparent food fish consumption has been twice as high as the population growth, 3.2% versus 1.6%, demonstrating that the fisheries and aquaculture sectors are crucial in meeting FAO's goal of a world without hunger and malnutrition. Trade plays an important role in boosting fish consumption and achieving global food security. An important share of fisheries and aquaculture production enters international trade in various forms for human consumption or non-edible purposes. In 2016, the share was about 35%, with an export value of US dollars 143 billion. Preliminary estimates for 2017 point to a new record up to US dollars 153 billion. Developing countries increased their participation in world fisheries trade by volume from 37% in 1976 to 59% in 2016, while in value terms, the share reached 54% in 2016. Net trade revenues for developing countries, US dollars 37 billion, exceed trade revenues for all meats, tobacco, rice, and sugar combined. This shows tremendous growth and demonstrates that a robust fisheries and aquaculture sector offers real opportunities for generating employment and bolstering livelihoods in developing countries, particularly as the global demand for fish and fishery products is projected to increase. Based on the latest FAO publication, The State of Food Security and Nutrition in the World, SOFIA 2018, for the third year in a row, there has been a rise in world hunger. The absolute number of undernourished people, i.e. those facing chronic food deprivation, has increased to nearly 821 million in 2017 from around 804 million in 2016. These are levels from almost a decade ago. The share of undernourished people in the world population, the prevalence of undernourishment, may have reached 10.9% in 2017. Persistent instability in conflict-ridden regions, adverse climate events in many regions of the world, and economic slowdowns that have affected more peaceful regions and worsened the food security all help to explain this deteriorating situation. Prevalence of undernourishment is highest in Africa, but the highest numbers are in Asia. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, from our point of view, fish equals food plus livelihoods plus trade is the all-important equation. Fisheries and aquaculture contribute in a significant way to food security and the livelihoods of millions of people as a creator of employment, supplier of nutritious food, generator of income and economic growth through harvesting, processing, and marketing fish. Several countries, including many less advanced economies, depend on these sectors for their social, economic, and nutritional benefits. And for them, the future is all important. The world population is expected to reach nearly 10 billion people in 2050, a trend that on its own raises concerns about how to feed the world in the future. By 2050, we need 50% more food than we produce today to meet the demand of the population. Fish can play an important role in this, and this slide provides an overview of the prospects to 2050. And from it, we can clearly see that the potential is by far greatest in aquaculture, even though we have possibilities to increase capture fisheries slightly, and improve the utilization of what we already catch, the overall picture is that aquaculture will need to take the lead if fisheries and aquaculture are to keep their present position and importance in feeding a still, unfortunately, hungry world. And the outlook for the markets are positive. This slide provides the projections included in SOFIA 2018, looking forward to 2030, and obtained through the FAO fish model. World fish production, consumption, and trade are expected to increase, but with a growth rate that will slow over time. Expanding world aquaculture production, although growing more slowly than in the past, is anticipated to fill the supply-demand gap. Prices will all increase in nominal terms, while declining in real terms, although remaining high. Food fish supply will increase in all regions, while per capita fish consumption is expected to decline in Africa, which raises grave concerns in terms of food security in that area. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, just at the end, I would like to show you a few slides on the effects of climate change. It is predicted that due to climate change effects, the fisheries patterns in the world's oceans will change. And the catch of fish will move from the region around the equator to the poles, to the Antarctic, and to the Arctic. More to the Arctic than to the Antarctic. And the catch will move from the coast to deeper waters. I know this is a very complicated slide, and I hope you will get an opportunity to analyze it. And then you can see the gradients and how this change is expected to occur. But in spite of this, all is not lost. We expect the so-called catch potential, which has been modeled for the past and into the future, to decrease from now until 2050, not to a large extent, but definitely to a measurable extent. And, however, if the present landings, which we see here from the past, and here predicted under present circumstances, if that continues, the catches will also be reduced. But, however, the difference between these future realized catch predictions and the catch potential is great enough, and even the lowered catch potential is higher than the present realized catch, which means that if we improve our management, we could still realize a higher catch than we are catching at present. And capture fishery could still contribute to reducing food and nutrition insecurity in the future. So this does not have to be a zero-sum game. It depends on ourselves, how we manage our stocks, and how we realize our catches and how we use them. And as I've demonstrated earlier in the presentation, how we develop our aquaculture potential, how fisheries and aquaculture will contribute to future food and nutrition security and livelihoods and prosperity of coastal blue growth communities. Thank you very much.